This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. We begin with the suspected DUI crash that left 6 people dead on a rural Napa County road. The driver has now been arrested on suspicion of murder. The crash happened just before 6 p.m. yesterday evening. 8 people were packed into a minivan that veered off the road and slammed into a tree. Only 2 people survived, including the driver. Now, this was in Pope Valley, a tiny unincorporated community about 7 miles north of St. Helena. The minivan had been traveling along Pope Valley Road when it crashed near Pope Valley Union Elementary School. So far, only the driver has been identified, and while he is one of the only survivors, our John Ramos explains why the CHP says the life he knew may be over.
The narrow rural roads in northern Napa County can be treacherous under any circumstances, but add alcohol to the mix, and you have the makings of a real tragedy. The winding roads in the hills above Napa Valley demand careful focus at all times, but this stretch of the road is straight. So why, on Sunday night, did a van full of people slam head-on into this tree?
We're still trying to figure out what happened. What we know so far is just before 6 o'clock last night, our Napa area office received a call of a solo vehicle off the roadway on Pope Valley Road. Napa County Sheriff's deputies were the first to arrive on scene. They found a Toyota Sienna minivan that had gone off the road and collided with the tree. Tragically, 6 individuals were pronounced deceased on scene. 2 other individuals were transported to a local hospital for treatment.
It was one of the deadliest single-vehicle accidents in Napa's history, but the CHP believes they know the reason for it. The driver, a 53-year-old Stockton man identified as Norberto Serralino, was determined by officers at the hospital to be under the influence of alcohol.
The fact that 6 people were killed in this crash is a horrible tragedy, but it's made even worse by the fact that this was caused by an individual who chose to drive while under the influence of alcohol.
As a result, Serralino has been arrested for murder. The CHP says it cannot talk about people's past records, but there is a provision under law known as Watson murder. When an individual is arrested for a DUI, they are informed about the deadly threat of driving under the influence. If they do it again and someone is killed, it is considered implied malice, making the crime second-degree murder.
We talk about the importance of designating sober drivers, of not driving impaired, and this is the reason why we do that.
But there is still a mystery to be solved. None of the 7 passengers in the minivan were carrying any form of ID, so the coroner's office must now try to determine who they were. Pope Valley is wine country, and some in town speculated that they may have been vineyard workers. Still, James Celadon didn't seem shocked by the deadly crash.
So when the word went out on this, what was the feeling?
Again, another one.
Just a half-mile down the road is another makeshift memorial, this time for a young child who was killed just 3 weeks ago. Despite the circumstances, or maybe because of them, Celadon said Sunday's crash makes the road seem cursed.
So when you hear that the guy may have been driving drunk, what does that tell you?
Just don't do it. Don't do it because you're not going to win, the road is going to win, and you're going to lose.
Under the law, people charged with DUI murder face a possible punishment of 15 years to life and a $10,000 fine for each count. And they are not eligible for probation.
The driver is recovering in the hospital and will be booked into Napa County Jail once he is released. We're also following a developing story, a crash involving a CHP motorcycle officer causing major backups on Interstate 280 in San Mateo County this evening. This is just south of the Alpine Road exit near Portola Valley. The officer was doing a traffic brake because of a report of an electric leaf blower blocking 2 southbound lanes. The CHP says he was hit by a Tesla that didn't yield, knocking him off his motorcycle. The officer was taken to the hospital with major but non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the Tesla stayed at the scene and is cooperating with investigators. All right, now this is a look at the backup. 3 left southbound lanes are closed south of Alpine Road as the investigation continues. The CHP is warning drivers to expect delays for hours. San Jose police, they are investigating a deadly hit and run that killed a woman riding an electric scooter. The crash happening downtown in front of the SAP Center near Caltrain's Deridian Station. Police say a vehicle hit the woman just after 8 this morning. She was taken to the hospital where she later died from her injuries. Officers say the driver took off before they arrived. We're also learning more about the victims in a string of shootings this weekend in Oakland. 2 people were killed, 4 others injured. The 4 separate shootings happened within a 2-hour period early Saturday morning in the uptown downtown area on 19th Street, Broadway, Martin Luther King Jr. Way, and San Pablo Avenue. And one shooting victim was found on 18th Street and then transported to the hospital. So far, police have not made any arrests. Online fundraisers, they've been created for the 2 victims of the shootings. One was identified by his family as Israel Miller Jr., also known as Chubbs. The second victim was identified as Micah, who coworkers say worked in San Francisco. The coroner's office has not yet officially identified the victims. This weekend, Mayor Barbara Lee addressed this violence.
We have to make sure that people are safe, feel safe, and continue with our crime-fighting efforts. And so we have to do that. We don't sweep our difficulties and challenges under the rug.
Oakland's police union released a statement saying the shootings happened in the aftermath of the First Friday celebrations downtown, but that ended hours before the first shots were fired, and investigators have not directly connected the shootings to the event. And organizers of First Fridays, which happened Friday evening on Telegraph Avenue between West Grand Avenue and 27th Street, they're distancing their event from the violence. In fact, they released a statement yesterday saying, quote, "This is not a First Fridays problem. This is a City of Oakland problem that must be addressed with greater support, resources, and strategies to manage late-night activity and growing nightlife crowds." A lifeline for public transit in limbo. San Francisco city leaders and transit advocates rallied at Civic Center Plaza just this morning. They're calling on the governor to keep his promise to provide Bay Area transit agencies with a $750 million emergency loan. So Bay Area transit agencies like BART, Muni, and AC Transit are all facing massive deficits due to lower ridership since the pandemic. A regional sales tax measure is set to be voted on in 2026, but the loan from the governor's office that is designed to cover the gap, it hit a roadblock last week with just days left to finalize a deal before the legislature goes on recess. The State Department of Finance told us they only received loan terms 2 days ago, but State Senator Scott Wiener says there's been progress.
And I'll tell you that the end of last week, I thought the loan was dead. Over the weekend, I think we may have put it back onto life support.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie says that he has been in constant contact with the governor's office about the issue and that the governor understands how much the funding is needed. So the governor's office released this statement this morning, pledging to work with stakeholders on a funding deal and have the terms solidified by the fall. All right, turning now to our weather. Mostly sunny today after we started with some pretty cloudy skies. A few places even saw some drizzle. And now there's actually a bit of real rain in the forecast. So let's check in with the expert meteorologist, Paul Hagan.
Yeah, Jules, not something we usually associate with early September, but there is a chance of showers in the forecast over the next few days. The bulk of the rain has been missing us to the north. The radar replay over the past several hours shows that shower activity making its way towards the north coast of California, but the bulk of the rain has been just missing us off to the north so far. But as we switch over to the Futurecast simulation of what the radar is going to look like, you can see a few showers trying to make their way into the Bay Area intermittently over the next couple of days. This is going to be far from a washout, just some splash and dash, very light rain showers. Your odds of picking up anything more than a trace are going to be about 1 in 3. The best chance of that is going to be farther to the north in the North Bay, but we are going to be seeing at least that chance of rain tomorrow night, and into Wednesday before a warm-up kicks in late in the 7-day forecast. Got details on all of that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Paul, thank you. Still ahead here at 6, big changes for a long stretch of North Bay Freeway. What you need to know if you're planning to use the HOV lanes on 101. San Jose police just tracked down a cache of stolen items worth more than $50,000. Most of it was tools. Officers got a call about an attempted car theft in West San Jose. They used data from license plate readers and tracked down the primary suspect at a home in South San Jose. In all, they arrested 4 suspects. The property was returned to its owner. So hundreds of Kaiser employees, they hit the picket lines today in Oakland and Roseville. They were protesting staffing shortages. The one-day strike included midwives and nurses who administer anesthesia for procedures. They say they were overworked and burnt out. Their union is negotiating a new contract.
We've been at the bargaining table for almost 18 months, right? We've shown up day in and day out. We've given many warnings. We've done petitions. We've done picketing. We've done a lot of escalating measures to get to this point. We certainly didn't just pull it out of the hat at the get-go.
Kaiser's hospitals and medical offices are open during the strike, but they said they may have to postpone some appointments and surgeries. And in a statement, Kaiser calls the decision to strike disappointing and adds, quote, "We will continue to bargain in good faith to reach an agreement that is good for our employees and allows us to continue providing high quality care that is affordable for our members and patients." All right, heads up for drivers. The carpool lane hours are now longer on a stretch of Highway 101 in the North Bay. So over the weekend, Caltrans crews swapped out the signs on a 52-mile stretch of 101 through Marin and Sonoma. This wraps up a major phase of the Marin-Sonoma Narrows B7 project. On that stretch now, the HOV lanes run from 5 to 10 a.m. and 3 to 7 p.m. weekdays only. That's a longer window than before, so give yourself extra time. One last HOV lane is set to open later this month as part of that project. All right, hopefully the Niners left some of that Bay Area sports magic behind in Seattle, because tomorrow night the Valkyries are there to face the Storm. You can watch it all on our sister station, Pix Plus. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 p.m. on Channel 44, Cable 12. All right, coming up, we know there's a bit of rain on the way, but what about the warm-up that's coming later? Paul Hagan is back with the full forecast. Steady progress in the TCU Lightning Complex fires in the Sierra foothills. All evacuation orders have been lifted, and that means residents can return home and assess damage. Some areas, though, still under evacuation warnings. Some roads will remain closed. The fires are 72% contained. They burned nearly 22 square miles across 4 counties. All right, from that, we hear a little bit of rain on the way and then a heat up. So we have a mixed bag. I'm just got to figure out the timing on all this.
Kind of whiplashing back and forth from an early taste of autumn to, oh no, summer's not done with us just yet.
Right. Not yet.
A couple showers still possible over the next few days. Let's take a look at the reason why. We'll turn on the satellite replay over the past few hours, and the swirl of clouds off the California coast. That is the heart of the storm system and the band of cloud cover that extends down along the coast. That's the cold front that's going to be pushing across the Bay Area, the dividing line between a warm and relatively sticky mass of air on our side of it with some cooler, drier on the other side. And that contrast in between is what drives that chance of showers and even a couple thunder showers over the next couple of days. Let's take a look at what we expect as we head through the next about 36 hours or so. We'll turn on the radar simulation from 9 o'clock tonight through 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and the showers are going to be hit or miss across the Bay Area, but they're out there. So we're looking at the potential for a few showers. We'll go from 9 a.m. tomorrow through 9 p.m. And again, hit or miss showers possible at any point during the day. This isn't something you need to plan around or cancel any outdoor plans. Just be aware there is a chance for a few showers anywhere through basically Wednesday. So keep the umbrella handy just to be on the safe side. In all likelihood, it's going to be something that you just have to wait to walk the dogs for a few minutes before the showers pass through. Have to fiddle with the intermittent setting on the windshield wipers as you're making your way to work or taking the kids to school. Adding up the total amount of rain, and Futurecast is painting the best chance of any accumulating rainfall farther to our north. The best odds of that are going to be over the North Bay. Different forecast model does show the potential for at least a trace of rain across most of the Bay Area, maybe a couple hundredths of an inch. They take the numbers with a significant grain of salt. This is one version of one forecast model, but on the high end of the spectrum, maybe just over a tenth of an inch of total rainfall if you really manage to hit the jackpot. Best chance that is going to be far north in the North Bay and then right along the coast as we head through the next several days. So let's take a look at one of the factors that is feeding this chance of showers, and that is the somewhat muggy air mass. You probably noticed the level of humidity in the air today, and on the muggy meter, which is not something we typically talk about in this part of the country, well, certainly into the noticeable category, even trending towards flat out muggy as we head through the rest of this evening. It does trend slowly downward and back to more typical humidity levels by the time late Wednesday and then Thursday and Friday roll around. So you're not going to have to put up with this for too long. See some cloud cover out there streaming in from the Pacific, part of the same storm system. Temperatures are in the 70s across the board, anywhere from 71 in Santa Rosa to 79 degrees in San Jose. While we're waiting to see if the clouds were going to yield any showers, we are definitely going to see some fog spreading out as we head through the rest of tonight. So regardless if you see any actual rainfall, you're still going to have gray skies pushing across the bay and into the inland valleys by early tomorrow morning. And it won't take too long for that fog to dissipate inland, but you're going to see clouds farther up in the atmosphere throughout the day, and that's going to limit how much temperatures warm up. It'll be cool, but still somewhat sticky outside, with temperatures running a good 5 to 8 degrees below average for most inland spots, mostly in the 70s, mid to upper 70s in the Santa Clara Valley, mid to upper 70s east of the Oakland Hills. These numbers close to 10 degrees below normal. Mostly 70s around the bay, with 60s to near 70-degree high temperatures at the coast, so only about a 10-degree difference from the coolest to warmest locations on the map tomorrow afternoon. Only low to mid 70s for most of the North Bay, thanks to that cloud cover hanging out with the best chance of showers in the North Bay as well. Let's take a look at 7-day forecast. And after the chance of showers tomorrow, maybe even on Wednesday, we start to trend back towards near normal temperatures as we head into the weekend, and then above normal temperatures early next week. A mix of 80s and low 90s for inland parts of the Bay Area by next Monday. And it looks like that trend would carry us through the rest of next week as well if we wanted to look beyond the 7-day forecast. Bayside temperatures will also warm up next week, close to 80 degrees, even by the water, but temperatures at the coast not warming up quite as much. You'll still manage to get up into the low 70s by early next week, and that's next time you're likely to break through to a significant amount of sunshine after a pretty foggy stretch of weather over the weekend.
Yeah, I'd say so. Okay, Paul, thank you. All right, CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. Local news continues streaming on CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in 30 minutes with more news at 7 o'clock. Have a good one.